Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, December 14th. And yeah, we had an amazing day yesterday here at Villa. Lots of things happening. I don't even know to give you a full rundown of everything that was going on yesterday. And it was, again, I'm going to move my camera, so sorry for the adjustment for a second. It was a fantastic day. I gotta get some more light in here, so I'll fix that. But we started off our day on Sunday morning with our first ever welcome members, not members, but newcomer. That's the word I'm looking for. Newcomer breakfast, and that was our first time we'd ever done a breakfast situation for that, and that was just a great time. We had a lot of people that came, and we had some that joined and some that are going to be joining again next week. And so just super excited about the church and continuing to grow even in the midst of everything that is going on. And so super pumped about that. Hopefully that you were able to watch the live stream or be here in service yesterday and meet those people that did join. But yeah, really excited about that. We had baptisms. Those were, just again, good to see God moving in people's lives. Knowing Norm and Michaela, knowing George, seeing their lives change, seeing them getting involved, seeing them learning and growing in that understanding and that knowledge is just a fantastic thing. And so the service, or kicked off our Christmas service, we had carols Sunday night. We had some cookies, and just it's fantastic to see that even with restrictions, even with differences or whatever, we can figure out ways to make those things work and adjust to all of those things. And I know a lot of people did have to adjust and do things that were different yesterday, and so I know that it's not always easy when we move things around and we're doing things, but it was just really cool. It was cool to see. If you were here in the building, and maybe I'll get a picture of it this week, I will, but if you weren't here, but we were able to get our new church sign decoration. I don't know what you call it, but it's our church logo. Bill McIntyre made this absolutely beautiful piece of artwork that has our Villa logo, and it is now hung in the hallway right as you leave the sanctuary. And just really neat to see that. I know a lot of people, Chris Ward, I think John Compton, maybe some others that helped and get that thing hung. I know Bill was here obviously hanging it too, and so just it was a neat to see different things happening. We've had lights going in everywhere around the church. If you've seen those, that's a fantastic thing. And again, those are just people that are coming in on their day off, on their time off, after they get done with the day of work. They're coming in, they're working, and they're getting that stuff done for us, and it's just absolutely fantastic. And so we're going to, just got a lot of stuff happening, and I'm very excited about it. So I do want to say hi to everybody that's on this morning. James Moore is on YouTube, so good morning to you, James. That's my dad. Good morning to you, Zara. Zara saying good morning. One of the things that we stress in a newcomer in lunch is that we are a family. And so our core values, when you read through them, they don't really make sense if they're not a family. And so, yes, families disagree, families struggle through things, families help, right? So we're one of the things that we're free not to have it all together. You don't get kicked out of your family just because you have, you're working through some things. So same way here. As families get larger and bigger, and I've noticed this with in-laws and things of this nature on both sides. There's sometimes it's different groups of people that you would not maybe normally hang out with, or things like that. You got cousins and their spouses, and it starts getting really big. But it's still a family, right? So you're still there, you're still supporting, you're still encouraging them. And so that's what a church is for. So we have mentioned on the website there, or when you're watching the stream, it says Villa Family, and that's who's talking. So when they're saying good morning, they're not saying good morning to me. That's not what you're saying. You're saying good morning to everybody here. So Linda is saying good morning to everybody. George got baptized yesterday. Good morning. He is saying there, sharing that. Judy Marsh saying good morning. I think it just flipped over. Judy's there. Shirley Bikeman saying good morning. Laura Compton saying good morning. Kathy Wood here with us this morning. So good morning to you. Jeff White with us this morning. Good morning to you, Jeff. And Renee is here with us this morning. So good morning to you. And, they both, Renee and George, said that they thought the thing looked amazing. The logo, that artwork piece that got hung. I don't call it a logo. It's not just a logo. It's a piece of art, and you'll see it. I'll post some pictures because it's really cool. So, my elbow. But anyway, a lot of things happening this week. I am probably going to. Oh no, we'll see. I'm not gonna say anything about that. There might be some time here at the end of this week, maybe the beginning of next week, that I take just a small break from these morning devotionals, just because there are a lot of things that need to get accomplished beforehand. And I know it doesn't always seem like a little bit, but it does take some time to get in here and get everything set up and make sure that we do this. So. Possibly. I'm not saying I'll let you know if we do, but if we do, please bear with us on that as we try to finish up a few things. So this morning, though, I want to look at Luke 24:45. Luke 24:45. I'm going to pull out the Bible here. We're going to look and see what this is saying. I want to give you the right surroundings around this. I think we've talked about this briefly before, and just some concepts of the fact that God wants to be with us. He is relationally with us. He is involved in our lives. His humanity is interesting when you see different stories of Jesus here. We know he was fully God, but he was also fully human. And on this road here at the end in Luke 24, Jesus has been crucified, he's resurrected, and he's taken down this road, and he's talking with some people. And so it's very interesting, and I know we've talked different aspects. I know I mentioned about that. But what here we see in verse 24, or chapter 24, verse 45, this is when he has already been eating with them. So he's walked all day with them. He's been talking with them. They don't know who he is. They invite him to come in and eat. Again, some really fun things there. I'm trying not to take all these rabbit trails my brain wants to take this morning. But in 24:45, it says, then he opened their minds to understand the scriptures. Then he opened their minds to understand the scriptures. Here is what I find absolutely amazing and necessary for the Christian walk. One, and this is the first and most major point, the verse 45, where it says, then he opened their minds to understand the scriptures, or opened their hearts to understand the scriptures. That never happens if they don't spend time with him. Right? So we have to back up. When you see that story, this is the focus we want to take a little bit this morning. And I know there's different aspects of the story. It doesn't mean that it's pulling different, it means looking at it from different angles. But this angle I want to look at this morning is, first and foremost, that never happens. Right? That him breaking bread with them, opening their hearts, opening their minds, that never happens if they don't spend time with him. If they ignore him on their walk, on their daily, regular activities, they're not doing anything spiritual, they're not going on a missions trip, they're just walking. They're going from one city to another. The burial had happened, it had been, past the time, they're sad, they're going home, they're going about their normal day. And so in that normal day, they spend time with Jesus. And because of that, then they invite him to dinner. They invite him to stay with him. Do you understand? They don't even know it's Jesus, but they're doing the work of Jesus, right? Because what was the work of Jesus? Love your neighbor. Take care. Do the thing. So they're doing the right thing. They're doing what God is telling them to do. They saw a neighbor. They're going to love him. They don't know him. They don't know anything about him, but they're going to participate. They're going to hang out with this guy. They're going to walk on this road and invite him to join them. Then they're even going to say, hey, you're going to go on further, which is what Jesus said. I'm going to go on further. And they say, you need some food. Let's feed you. Let's take care of it. Again, doing the basic things that God and Jesus, or that they had learned from God, Jesus, and just fulfilling them. If they had never done this, verse 45 never happens. trying to say this as clearly as possible. If you do not spend time with God, if you do not spend time doing the things that God is telling you to do, loving other people, spending time with Him, learning from Him, growing from Him, you will never have the opportunity to grow. You won't. You can't grow. You can't have the opportunity to grow if you're not doing what He's telling you to do. That's what we talked about. Obedience is so important. Loving your neighbor, loving God, living life in that way, focused on those things, doing those things first. And if you do that, then you will have opportunities for growth, opportunities for learning more, having an opportunity like these men here to having their minds or their hearts opened to the Scriptures. And here's the other thing that we want to pull. So that's the first thing. You have to be able to spend time with God. You have to be able to do it with it. And if you're not spending time, then you're not growing. You're not having an opportunity to grow. If you're not doing what God is telling you to do, then you're not going to have the opportunity to grow. That's the first point. The second point is this. We never stop growing. We never get to a point where we don't need our hearts and minds open to the Scriptures. You see, these were people that were following God. They were following Christ. They were doing what Christ had told them to do. What they knew, what they had been taught so far, what they understood in Scriptures was to love your neighbor as much as you love God. You love God, you love your neighbors, you love yourself. Those are the two things. Love God, love your neighbor. They knew that. They understood it. They were doing it. So they were doing what they knew so far. Then they had the opportunity to grow. So we have, again, point one, right? We have to do what we know we need to do. But point two is that after that, after they were doing those things, they had their hearts and minds open to the Scriptures to understand more, to grow more into it. This wasn't a new understanding, a new revelation. This was a growth for them. And so the challenge that we have to have in our lives, the challenge that we have to make sure that we don't ever forget is that we don't ever get to a spot where we know all. We don't ever get to a spot where we understand and we have no room for improvement. That's an unbiblical stance. That doesn't happen until we get to heaven. Until we are in heaven with all knowledge and all understanding, sitting next to Christ. That just doesn't happen. So it doesn't happen here on earth. And so we need to make sure that, one, we are doing what we know is right. We are doing the things that we know we should be doing. But then also knowing that when we do that, we are going to learn more and grow more to do even more things, to obey in more ways, to love in more ways, to have more capacity to do the things that we need to do. This is what God is teaching us when He writes this story. He's teaching us that we do the right things, and then in this, so doing the right things, that we end up learning more. And I want to challenge you, the thing that for Christmas, how do we wrap this up into Christmas, right? Is that in the Christmas season, I think it's very easy for Christians to be like, yeah, I know what the Christmas season is about. I know everything that's going on. I get it. I understand. We celebrate Jesus' birth. We do this and that. We have these traditions. We have these things that we normally do. And I think sometimes we lose the magnificence. We lose the specialness, the awesomeness, right? If we go back a few lessons here. But we lose that if we think we've already learned everything there is about Christmas. If we've already learned everything there is about Jesus in this time frame, in this space, in this area of celebration that we have, if we take our learning out of this season, then we miss what we could learn this season and what we should be learning this season. It doesn't matter if you're a young Christian or a mature Christian, if you are a young person or a mature person, right? Because some people are like, yeah, I came to Christ as a kid and now I'm matured in age, and I would say, okay, but there's still things to learn. There's still things to grasp. There's still things to see differently. There's still things to improve on, and that never changes. And it will always stay that way. And not until we stop looking for ways of improvement, when we stop doing what we're supposed to be doing, right? Because one of the things that we're supposed to be doing is continually growing, continually perfecting ourselves, continually finding. So when we're working on those, our minds get open to more things. And it was Tozer that is pushed me in this genre or this area, this line of thought the most, is that when we are closest to God, we feel the furthest away. As we learn more and more, we see more and more what needs to be fixed and what needs to be done differently. And so I want to encourage you this day, I want to encourage you this week, I want to encourage you this Christmas season, that as we continue, do not stop and think, I already know that. I already am there. I've already got that point. I can check out of this thing in this season, and what's next? What can I do next? No. Let's pay attention to what we have. Let's study. Let's dig in. Let's see what else there is to learn about those situations. So that would be my challenge to you. One, do what you're supposed to be doing. And then secondly, continue to grow. And we see that in this story here in Luke 24 when Jesus is walking with them to the road of Emmaus. So I want to look and see. Jeff says, I made on time. Yes, we did do some baptisms, and that is a cross that is up there, and it's a good reminder of the founder of this church, the person that made this church. So that's a good point, Jeff. Zara says, I'll share this. My mother said, the more I understand, the more I need to know, and that is completely 100% accurate. Renee says, yep, and then when those questions get answered that we have, they often create more questions, and that is so accurate. I love that it's that endless, it's that limitless understanding of Jesus Christ. I mean, there's just so much there. It's the teachings, the understandings, the knowledge of Christ surpasses all of our understanding, right? And it does so in a way that no matter how far we dig in, no matter how much we get in there, no matter how much we learn, there's always more. And I love it. And Judy Marsh says, we never quit learning, and we shouldn't. We should not quit learning. So love you guys so much. I will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Until then,